I want to explain how to make, I call it a ceremonial stole. It's been called other things by different people, sacramental stole. It's a two-sided stole. It's white on one side and purple on the other. And both sides are finished because both sides are used for different things. This kind of stole is this kind of stole makes an excellent gift for a priest, for an anniversary, for ordination, for Christmas, whatever. If there's an occasion you want to give a priest a gift, this is an excellent gift to give them. Now, why are they white on one side and purple on the other? As I say, they're used for most of the sacraments that are outside of Mass. In baptism, you use both sides of the stole. At the beginning of baptism, he wears the purple side. After the exorcism, they change to the white side. The purple side is used in the sacrament of penance, or if the priest goes to a house to give extreme unction. Generally, they carry, for home visitation, they carry very small stoles that are white on one side, purple on the other. They're only about an inch or so wide, that they can fold up and fit in their pockets, so they can always carry a stole with them in case they need to give the sacraments in an emergency or something. But this is the big version of that. So they're also used for weddings. If there's no nuptial mass, they're used for receiving people in at certain ceremonies, like into confraternities or whatever. So the stole has lots of uses, and that's why it makes a great gift, because priests do like these stoles. Now, what makes it different from other stoles, the fact that it's purple on one side, white on the other, but most of these sacramental stoles have a cord that goes through the middle, goes through a bead and attached to a tassel or something, that they can adjust this here at the neck and it'll stay. A lot of them also have a piece of cording that goes across about here that makes the cord actually is what hits their neck and allows the stole to hang down their back a certain length. So let's say this is going around the priest's neck. Let me see. This is going around the priest's neck. If the cord was here, it would hang down this much on their back. And that's especially nice for stoles. Some of the stoles are made to come to a V shape in the back, and that lays nicely on the back and makes it look nice from the front and the back. A lot of these ceremonial stoles have large crosses that can be seen easily, unlike the small ones you put on a stole for this part of a Mass set. So I wanted to explain how it's put together, and then I will show you how to make one. But some people, since a lot of you I know already know how to make stoles, you looked at my other videos, I wanted to explain just the parts that are different. And then if you want to sit through the whole thing, you can, but you don't need to see, you don't need to see the whole video. So you're going to make the stole pretty much the way you make a stole normally. You're going to do, but only you're going to, instead of lining fabric, you're going to have two main fabrics, a purple and a white. Now, you can do elaborate embroidery on these. I have designed where I use an embroidery here, and there's another embroidery up around the neck. That is the triangular shaped size. But you don't need to. You don't even need to have the crosses. You do need a cross here, but you don't need to have crosses here. You can do other motifs here, an I.H.S, a chiro, I had one parish who wanted to give it to their priest for his anniversary. I think it was his 30 years, and they wanted a cross, but underneath it they wanted the number 30, so that he would remember it was given to him on his 30th anniversary. It doesn't matter. You could just put a band across of trim. So you're going to do it, put it together exactly the same way as you do normally. Once you put all your embroideries on it, if you're going to put any, then, and by the way, with these, I could, if I wanted, I could go in and put gemstones in the middle of these, but I'm not going to do that. But I mean, there's lots of options you can do with these. They're a little bit more dressed up than a normal stole. So once you have the embroideries on them and you've completed both sides. Now what you want to do is you want to cut one side, and because remember, one side is your lining. You're going to want to cut one side larger than the other. So when I cut them out, I usually cut the purple about an inch extra, give it an inch extra in width. Then in this case, I don't have any embroideries. I just had crosses. So what I did was I cut the white out, sewed it together in the center. Then well, first of all, I cut it out, and then I placed it on the purple fabric like as I normally do for lining, and cut outside of it by about an inch so that the purple would be larger than the white. Then I sewed them together at the neck, and I connected the purple and the white together as I normally do, using stitch witchery along the edge, turning the purple over to this side, and covering this with trim. Now this is not sewn down yet, and the reason it isn't sewn down is I'm going to also, you don't have to, I could leave it like this. That leaves the purple side very nice and plain, and I'm debating about whether putting trim on this side, but I could do that as well. And if I plan to do trim on this side, I would wait so that when I sew this, I will be sewing all the layers together, the trim on both sides, and then I won't have any stitching here that you can see. But I think I'm going to leave this exactly the way it is, and just use purple bobbin thread and sew it from this side. So there'll be a line of stitching, very fine purple stitching at this edge. Now, I haven't put a piece through the neckline here. This is a curved neckline, and I'm still thinking about whether I'm going to put a piece of cord here or not. But I have put a piece of cord here, and this is underneath the trim. So once I have the vestment together and I'm at the point of putting this down, I mark it with a pin where this is going to go, and this is just a loop of cord that sticks underneath here, and when I sew this trim down, it will secure that loop in place. And there's one opposite it on the other side. So, and these are about, I want to say 18 inches down. This is the center. Let's measure it from the center. Going straight from the center to it. By that I mean not following the edge, but just going straight from the center to the pin. It's 13 and a half inches. If you're measuring it, it's 14 inches from It's 14 inches from the center all the way along the edge, but going straight across is 13 and a half. So it's about an extra half an inch by making the curve here. So now, how do you do the tassel part? Well, once you have it all together and the loop sewn in, and that's just finishing up. First of all, you get some kind of wooden bead. It doesn't have to be wood, could be plastic, but wooden ones are easy to come by. Joanna's carrying them. These are smaller ones, but they would still work. I like these larger ones. Sometimes they're oval, sometimes they're teardrop. I'm going to use the teardrop one, I think. And then I paint them with gold paint. Just go over them with some acrylic gold paint. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take a length. Now you can use other kinds of cord. I like the smooth one. This is, again, most craft stores sell this. This is not the elastic kind. There are cords that are elastic. This is just cord. I want to say it's about 1/8 of an inch wide. And it's going to go through the 2 loops on both sides. And it's going to come down to about here where it would meet with the, go through this, and then hang below that. So all together with this, I'm going to cut a little extra length. The length of this is ruler. The length of this it's about a yard. No, actually it's a little longer than a yard. That's a yard. It's almost 4.5. It's 4.5 feet. I could have gone another 6 inches and made it 5 feet long. But this is about 4.5 feet, which I think is about 6 inches more than I need. So about 4 feet would be fine. And I don't want to connect this now because I haven't finished sewing this and it would be in the way. But as I say, it goes through. It goes through these 2 cables. The cable goes through these 2 loops when you're finishing this. Then it gets fed through this wooden dowel. This is kind of loose. Let's see if the other one's a little tighter. Some of these have larger holes than others. And it's the dowel it's this wooden thing moving up and down that's going to keep it in place. You try one of these smaller ones. I want one you want it to have a little bit of resistance. Come on. Now the holes on these are really small, so they should definitely give it resistance. It's about an inch long, about 1/2 inch wide. It's much smaller. It's much smaller than the other one. Okay, so let's feed this through. Okay, yeah, this is better. You want to have a little bit of resistance so that at least it stays where you put it, and that when it's hanging it won't drop by its own weight. Now you can put You could put a knot in the cord down here, but still he's going to want to be able to move this up and down because this is what is going to adjust the fit of it around his neck for his chest. So he's got to be able to move it to some extent, but at some point down here you might want to put a knot, just so, not that this is going to come off because you're going to have a tassel here, which I thought I brought in. I have this tassel, I got this at Joann's, and it has covering, it's a nice gold tassel. It's almost the same color as the gold fringe. It goes with the gold on here. So I'm going to, what you do is after you have this, you're going to attach the tassel. Now, you can do this a couple of ways. You can take these cables and knot them. You can attach them directly to the tassel, but what I do is I knot them around the cord on the tassel. The knot, this piece, this wooden piece, is not going to go past that knot. So that's going to effectively stop it at the bottom. So you want to be able to have enough of this cable above it that they can adjust this up and down. They usually leave it somewhere around like that. It just depends on their neck, how well it fits them. So let's say that's going around his neck, and he's going to want to, by pulling it up, it pulls it in, and by dropping it down, it loosens it. So if he's very thin, it'll be in more. If he's a big-chested fellow, it will be out more. So you want to be able to leave enough cord that he can move it up and down that far. This is probably enough right here, and so I will attach the cord, knot it to the tassel at that point, and it will hang down in the center. And then I'll cut off the extra cord, so that the only thing you'll see, or he'll see, or anybody will see, will be this. And this could be up here, but this tassel will still be down here. And the tassel helps give some weight to it, to the center, and keep everything the way it should be. So I'm going to have to paint this wooden bead and sew the edges of these. But I just wanted to show you first how it's put together. Again, it's put together no differently than any other stole than any other stole. It's just that you're using two pieces of main fabric, one purple and one white. Whether you even put trim on the edges, I've done lots of them with just decorative stitches on the edges instead of trim. If you do it that way, you're going to be sewing right sides together, turn inside out sort of thing. You're going to have to want to use a seam ripper and open the stitches wherever you put a pin there. When you get to that point, skip over it and continue your stitching on the other side. So you have a little gap there where you can feed these loops in. The same if you're putting one at the neck, you'll want to leave a gap for where the cable goes on the neck. And I usually only put that cable if I'm doing the triangular one. This one is wide enough, and it'll still, because of the curve, it laid nicely on his back without that. So it's exactly the same way as you'll make a normal stole, except for these loops and this configuration in the center. You need a tassel. It doesn't need to be a big heavy one like this or as decorative as this. This happened to be all I could. Originally I had, it should be about this long. This is about 3 inches. 3 inches, 4 inches. The tassel part of this itself is 3 inches. All together with the ball at the top is about 4 inches. Not quite. So the tassel part's really about 3.5, and with the ball it's about 4.5. This is, you can make your own tassels. You can use the same fringe that's used on the bottom and wrap it around. For example, a dowel this large, you can wrap it around with and glue it. You can first of all, you can go around and cover. You can either do it that way, or you can with thread with the same sort of colored thread or crochet thread or whatever. You can go through with a needle top to bottom and wrap the whole thing with I want to say cable, this thread like this or something similar. And then when you're finished, you can over the outside of it hot glue fringe around that. I don't have this fringe here, but let me show you with another piece of fringe. I have done this. I prefer to buy them. It's a lot. That's a lot of work. You want a fringe that's a little bit more longer than this probably, but you'll wrap it around a couple times. So twice will give you enough so that you have something like it'll get something like that. But that works. You only want it to add some weight to and hold the ends of this cord. You could also, at the ends of the cord, you could wrap some fringe together around the ends of the cord and leave both. Let's say this is the ends of the cord. You could go around the end of the cord several times, just turning it around the end of the cord till you build up enough to have the equivalent of a tassel here. So I've wrapped this about, I don't know, how many layers is that? It's about 4 layers, 5 layers. So you could do it this way, except that, and that would work. You might want to do that on, and you could do that on each end, doing 2 separate tassels. That works too. There's no hard and fast rules to this. I had to use 6-inch fringe on this, which is too long. It looks nice, but to me it's too long. And what I do in that case, if I decide I want to make it shorter, is use a rotary cutter and get it laid out really straight. I still have the thing on the bottom to hold this together, which helps, and put a ruler across and use a rotary cutter to cut it. That will cut your fringe straight. Don't try and cut it with scissors. The only way you can do that is with a rotary cutter. If you try it with scissors, you're going to get such an irregular cut to it. So anyway, there's lots of options as far as the fringes concerned, as far as the tassels concerned, as far as the beads are concerned, as far as finishing this part of it. But that's the only thing that's different at all. Everything else in the construction of the stole is the same as what you're used to in making a normal stole. And as I say, you don't have to do these. You can put anything you want on the bottom of them. This particular priest asked for, actually this was a young man asking for this stole to be made for a friend of his who was being ordained, and he's wanted this light blue trim. So I made the cross on this blue felt to go with it. And originally I thought I would put these in the middle, and I may still do that. And on the purple, I have some gold ones to go in the middle of the purple, or I can leave that lavender center. If you put these down with they can't be sewn, and that's the only reason why I very seldom use I very seldom use anything that can't be sewn down, because things get a lot of use, and things will come off, and but these can be put down with hot glue or Beacon's Fabri-Tac. This will glue it down too, and hold it for a long time, if not forever. They do make gems that you know, with holes in them that you can actually sew down, gemstones. So, all right. So I hope you try to make one of these sometime, and let me know how yours turns out.